여러분 안녕하세요. 잘 지내셨나요? 오늘은 우리가 영어로 얘기를 할 때 머릿속에서 번역의 과정을 거치지 않고 영어로 생각해서 말할 수 있는 방법에 대해서 말씀드리려고 합니다. 우리가 처음에 영어를 배울 때 머릿속에서 번역의 과정을 거치게 되는데요. 이는 매우 자연스러운 현상입니다. 그러나 시간이 지나면서 나의 실력이 향상되어 가면요. 그때부터는 영어로 조금씩 생각을 하게 됩니다. 그래서 굳이 번역하지 않아도 조금씩은 영어로 바로바로 생각해서 단어부터 말하기 시작하는 것이죠. 그런데 이 과정이 쉽지는 않습니다. 그러면 우리가 어떻게 영어로 바로바로 생각해서 얘기할 수 있는지 그 내용에 대해서 말씀드릴게요. 그런데 오늘은 지금까지와 달리 한번 영어로 이 이야기를 해드리려고 합니다. 자, 잘 들어보시고 우리가 어떻게 이 내용을 적용할 수 있는지 한번 생각해 보시기 바랍니다. 이 내용을 들으실 때 내용이 잘 이해 안 되실 수도 있고요. 또 어떤 케이스에는 어느 정도 80% 이상 이해되실 수도 있을 것입니다. 만약에 내용이 잘 이해가 안 되신다면 나중에 나의 영어 실력이 조금 더 향상이 된 다음에 이 내용을 다시 들어보시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 그리고 내용이 이해가 잘 되신다면 나의 생활에 잘 적용하셔서 여러분의 영어 실력을 잘 향상시키기 바랍니다. 자, 한번 시작해 볼게요. When we first start learning English, most of us do the same thing. We hear something in English, we translate it into our native language in our head. Then, we translate it back into English before we speak. That's completely normal. That's how beginners do. But at some point, usually when you move past the beginner stage, something starts to change. You don't translate every word anymore. Sometimes an English phrase just pops up. Sometimes you understand it before you translate. That's the moment you are entering the next level. And that next level is thinking in English. Now, thinking in English doesn't mean you suddenly become fluent. It doesn't mean your English is perfect or fast. It simply means your brain is starting to process ideas directly in English, even if the sentences are messy. And in this episode, I want to talk about what actually happens in that process, how we shift from translating to sensing meaning, and then letting the words come out. If you're past the beginner stage and you feel like you're stuck somewhere in between, this episode is for you. If you're listening to this, you are probably not a beginner anymore. You understand English. You can follow conversations. You know a lot of words. But when it's time to speak, your brain still goes quiet or busy or both. You think in Korean first, then try to translate. And by the time the sentence is ready, the moment is already gone. If that sounds familiar, you are exactly who this episode is for. Today, we're going to talk about how non-native speakers can actually start thinking in English. Not in a perfect way, but in a way that works in real life. And yes, I'll give you a realistic action plan you can actually do. Alright, let's get into the methods that will actually help you start thinking in English. I'm going to give you 5 techniques and I want you to pick just one to start with. Don't try to do all of them at once. Okay, Here is number 1, the simple narration method. Here is what you do. Pick one simple activity you do every day, maybe brushing your teeth, making coffee, or getting dressed, just one. For that activity only, practice thinking simple English sentences in real time. And I mean really simple. I pick up my toothbrush, the water is cold, I put toothpaste on the brush, something like this. What does this work? Why? Why does this work? Because you are creating a mental habit in a specific context. Your brain starts to associate that activity with English thinking. And because it's the same activity every day, the English becomes automatic. After a week or two, you will notice something amazing. You don't have to try anymore. Those English thoughts just appear. That's when you add a second activity. Technique 2, the immersion bubble. Create small pockets of time where English is your own language. I'm talking 10 to 15 minutes, not all day. During this time, you are going to do something engaging in English. Watch a YouTube video, read an article about something you love, or listen to a podcast. But here is the key. Choose content that's slightly below your level, not above it. Why? Because when you are struggling to understand, your brain automatically switches back to translation mode. You need to understand easily so your brain can relax and just observe the English. And here's the secret move. After you finish, don't switch back to your native language immediately. Stay in that English space for a few more minutes. Think about what you just learned. Maybe say something out loud about it. Let your brain linger in English. Technique 3, the vocabulary image method. When you learn a new word, don't write down the translation. Instead, find an image or create a mental picture. If you're learning the word exhausted, don't write your native language word for tired. Find a picture of someone collapsed on a couch, or remember a time when you felt completely exhausted. Connect the English word directly to the feeling or image, not to your native language word. Your brain will start building English concepts that stand alone, not concepts that depend on translation. Technique 4, the internal dialogue practice. This one feels weird at first, but it's incredibly powerful. Throughout your day, when you notice yourself thinking about something, maybe you are wondering what to eat for lunch, or you are thinking about the conversation you had, try to replay that thought in simple English. Not translate it, replay it. So, if you were thinking, I'm hungry, what should I eat? Just let that question form in English in your mind. If you were thinking about what your friend said, try to remember it in English, even if the original conversation was in your native language. You are not narrating everything. You are just catching thoughts and re-experiencing them in English. Technique 5, the response preparation method. Here's something practical for conversations. Start preparing common responses in English beforehand. Think about questions people often ask. How are you? What do you do? What did you do this weekend? What are your hobbies? Create your answers in English, but make them real and personal. Practice them until they feel natural. This way, when someone asks you in real life, your brain already has an English answer ready. You don't need to translate. Over time, you build up this library of ready-to-go English thoughts, and your brain learns the pattern, English in, English out. All right, thank you for listening. Oh, okay. My closing ment was weird. Okay, 여러분 잘 들으셨나요? 자, 여러분들께서 100% 이해하실 수도 있고 아니면 20%, 10% 또는 over 50% 이해하셨을 수도 있을 거예요. 네, 내가 조금 적게 이해하셨다면 앞으로 reading 또는 listening 또 writing, speaking 여러 가지 면에서 조금 더 많은 양을 한번 학습해 보시고요. 그리고 어느 정도 이해가 됐다. 이런 케이스에는 여기에서 언급됐던 내용들을 잘 적용하셔서 효과를 보시기 바랍니다. 제가 이제 생각했을 때는 굉장히 좋은 내용 같아요. 네, 그래서 적용하면 도움이 많이 될 것 같습니다. 여러분 들어주셔서 감사합니다. 바이바이.